What constraints should Muslim men and women oblige by when meeting persons of the opposite gender on campus, either academically or socially?
وما أرسلنا من قبلك إلا رجالا نوحي إليهم فاسألوا أهل الذكر إن كنتم لا تعلمون.
Common sense applies, honestly. Common sense applies. It's really, you don't need a long lecture. Everybody knows when things are getting out of hand. Everybody knows when decent conversation is becoming flirtatious. You don't need to be taught how to flirt with the opposite gender. And the Sharia does not encourage sparks of passion flying pre-marriage because everybody knows where it's going to lead. So the main generic advice that I can give as an older brother is never should a brother and sister meet alone and unsupervised. It's as simple as that. The Prophet ﷺ was very clear about this, that never is a man and woman together alone, except that shaitan is the third of them. Anytime there are meetings, they should be done in public with multiple people. And anytime, and of course, I mean, this is, I'm sure this question is going to come up in the next few questions, but if you find that feelings are developing, we go back to the previous question. There's nothing wrong with feelings, and frankly, it's only natural and normal that feelings are going to develop. Keep those feelings in check until it's time that it's possible to talk about marriage. And when that conversation is going to happen, it should never happen alone. It should never happen just one-on-one. Bring friends and family. Whenever family is involved, things are always going to be dignified and decent, right? There's nothing wrong with having a feeling for somebody that, hey, I think this person is going to make a good life partner for me. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you get family involved, if you get friends involved, and you don't do things secret, then everything's going to be above board. And I know I'm jumping the gun, you're going to have some other questions about this, but I want to say one thing, that brothers and sisters at that age, listen, you want your life to be blessed, you want your marriage to be blessed, you want your future to be blessed. In order to do that, you need to lay the foundation pre-marriage, not after marriage. You need to lay the foundations now. You don't want to do things, listen to me carefully, and I'm being blunt here, you don't want to do things that you are going to regret for the rest of your life. Because this is not just a one-off mistake. This is something that will emotionally and psychologically scar you, okay? Let me again be explicit here. You don't want to be getting flashbacks of somebody else on your wedding night. Think how you're starting your life. Think. It's not an easy mistake. This is a big mistake. It's not a trivial mistake. So in order to not get to that level, you need to start cutting off way before you get to that level. Because at that stage, and we've all been through that stage, at that stage, even you do not know how powerful your emotions can become. In fact, the Quran calls those sexual desires and intentions, the Quran calls it, it's an intoxication. The word sakra is used, intoxication. Allah calls the lust love that happens, It's in the Quran, the word sakra is used. Like you're intoxicated, meaning you cannot even think rationally, And again, that's, not to get too explicit here, sometimes I have to control myself. Well, look at the crimes of passion that occur. Look at college campuses and the date rape culture and whatnot, right? What is going on? What is all of that stuff? It's literally that a person is not even able, they're not thinking rationally. So when you go down this route and avenue, unless you keep yourself in check, it's very easy to slip all the way to the end. My advice, therefore, is each one of you needs to think long and hard, especially when feelings develop, to keep those feelings dignified. Listen to me again. There's nothing wrong at all with having a feeling for somebody. Actually, that is totally natural. There's nothing wrong with that. But once that exists, number one, you wait until the marriage age comes. When you're 17, that's not the age to talk about marriage. It's just the way the society is. You have to be of age that if you're a young man, you need to have close to having a job. If you can't afford to pay your rent, how are you going to have a wife, as a sister as well? What age are your family going to be willing to get you married? Number two, once you get to that marriage age, do not do things on your own. Do not go solo. Bring in family and friends, and see what can be done in a halal manner. And then inshallah ta'ala, I strongly encourage, young men and women to get the nikah done. But this is the problem of parents and whatnot, and probably one of the questions is going to be about that. But if it was in my control, I would tell all the parents that as soon as your young son or daughter is of intellectual maturity, and that varies from person to person, 20, 21, 22, 23, whatever, intellectual maturity. At least if they find a partner, get the katab kitab done. Katab kitab means just the signing the contract. They're not going to be living together as husband and wife. I strongly encourage that this is healthy in the society we live in, that a young man and a young woman, once they decide they want to get married, at least the nikah should be done, so that if they want to go out on a quote-unquote date, even though they're technically married, but they have dinner together, lunch together, they spend time on the phone together, but they're not living together, then it's all halal, all the families know. And at that age, it's good to have an outlet that is totally halal without actually living. This is very important. I'm putting this in your minds because sometimes parents do allow this. If the parents don't allow it, well then, that's just a part of life. And I'll advise you one last point before the next question. However you're feeling now, remember it, and remember when you have a son or daughter that is now your age, and try to then work with them, and don't be like the uncle aunties that you are so frustrated at your age, and Allah knows best.
يا من أجبت دعاء نوح فانتصر وحملته في فلكك المشحون يا من أحال النار حول خليله روحا وريحانا بقولك كوني